Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Doing great.
Doing
Super
great?
excited. Yeah, I'm excited. We're recording.
We're recording, but how are we recording?
We are doing video.
Yay!
Finally.
Everybody's ass, and here we are. Hey, everybody out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show, and we are about to get normal. And Mrs. Weedman's going to light this Gary Poppins that was given to us by our friend Igneous. And Igneous is a dragon, a red dragon with fiery golden wings that his friend Michael told me about. So Igneous, thank you for dropping us some nugs of this Gary Poppins that we actually smoked with you at an event on Saturday, and you gave me two strains, Gary Poppins and the GG4.
Oh, yummy.
And we busted that open today, and I tell you what, the Gary Poppins smelled amazing, which we're going to smoke right now. But that GG4 was the sticky, dicky, icky. So we got more GG4, Mrs. Weedman. I'm excited. So excited. So let's talk about Gary Poppins, though. Gary Poppins is an evenly balanced hybrid strain of 50-50 indica sativa created through crossing the potent Gary Payton and Red Run strains. The lesser-known brother of the infamous nanny Mary Poppins, Gary Poppins will take you on an adventure of a lifetime with just one delicious little toke, no singing required.
That's good.
What's the singing? A spoonful of sugar?
Spoonful of sugar.
Help what?
Helps the medicine go down.
The high will come rushing in as soon as you exhale, filling your mind with lifted sense of euphoria that wipes away any negative thinking or tensions. You'll be filled with a lightly, weightly calm and weigh down the brain, allowing your creativity to run rampant as your thoughts fade into oblivion. A deeply relaxing body high accompanies this heady boost, keeping you locked down to reality. I don't want to be locked down not to reality. I want to be floating in reality or non-reality. Combined with its super high, anywhere ranges between 20 and 30% average THC level. These effects make Gary Poppins a great choice for treating chronic pain, chronic stress, depression, and appetite loss or nausea. This bud has a sweet and spicy lemon candy flavor with hints of fruity berries and a touch of earthy herbs. The aroma adds a punch of sharp diesel, intensifying the more you toke. Gary Poppins buds have dense grape-shaped emerald green nugs with deep purple undertones. Hell yes. Igneous, I will say that to the T. It had some purple in there. It had some beautiful green in there. And also the bright, crystally terp trichomes were amazing. Effects. Calming, creative euphoria, happy, relaxing, and uplifting. The symptoms it relieves are appetite loss, chronic pain, depression, nausea, and stress. And then the flavors are candy, Mrs. Weedman's favorite. Cherry, citrus, herbal, lemon, sour, spicy, sweet. The aromas are candy. Candy's always dandy. Cherry, diesel, earthy, fruity, herbal, spicy. What do you think?
I get the cherry spicy.
Cherry spicy, huh? Ooh.
And some earthy.
Oh.
It's pretty tasty. I think you'll enjoy it. My throat is still scratchy. What day is today? Today's Tuesday.
Yes.
We were at this event on Saturday.
What event were we at?
We were at the Super Smoke Sesh with Spliff Society.
Yes, we were.
And we smoked a lot of weed that night. Nonstop. There was just weed flying everywhere. And you do a lot of passing, little puffs, a lot of pass. But there were some big puffs within the mix. And I'm still froggy. I'm still
Kermit. Are you Kermit?
Scratchy. It was worth it.
It was. We had a lot of fun this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Briggs and the whole entire Spliff Society team for having us, first and foremost, inviting us to this event, which was wonderfully done. I also like to thank Blue Island Beer Company for hosting the event, and Alan and his team doing a phenomenal job manning down the beer, manning down the event space, and keeping everything running smooth. Briggs, and your team, you did a phenomenal job with setting everything all up, making sure all the vendors were in the right spot, making sure all the vendors were there, making sure the vendors were happy, and making sure that they were safe and having fun. And then also the DJs you bought were banging. And Mr. Weedman was going nuts because the first DJ that went on was playing all late 90s, early 2000s house, Chicago house, and every song I knew because I came from the club scene in Illinois, and everything he blew me up. Hector was his name.
Yeah, you were like a couple levels
the music
above everybody.
The music.
Because you would hear a song, you'd be like, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Everybody in the room would be like,
so
who's
good.
screaming?
It was
It's
so
Mr.
good. He blew it up.
He was
I
great.
was so excited. And then I don't remember the second DJ's name, but then there was a hip hop artist from Nashville, Tennessee. Rapper. And he sung about spaghetti. Mom's
you loved
spaghetti.
His spaghetti
The
song.
spaghetti song was hilarious. That was my favorite song. And he talked about his first time he had a beer.
Yeah.
That was
the beer
pretty funny.
song was
The beer
funny.
song was funny too. He was very entertaining. A white boy from Nashville, Tennessee, big burly looking hipster dude, rapping and flowing. It was pretty good. He was funny. It was good. It was a good show. And then Jinx, Chicago Northsider DJ that blew it down, new school stuff. Learned
He's
from
great.
his uncle Hector, who was the first DJ.
Yep.
So which was dope as hell. So that was awesome. And then we got to see a bunch of cool vendors. I'd like to thank all the vendors that gave us stuff. It was awesome. Thank you for all the gifts.
You tend to like kind of give your neighbor something,
Yeah.
or your neighbor gives
I
you
gave
something.
joints.
Yeah, like you just get friendly with your neighbors, and
Yes.
everybody was passing stuff around all night.
I
so
gave
it was really
joints to all the vendors I walked by and was handing. Even though some people already had joints, but I just gave everybody a joint to say hello and just to what is it? If you ain't networking, you ain't working. Right. So just saying hi to all the other vendors was great. Every time a new DJ went on stage, I gave him a joint. Right. That's what a weed man does.
Yep.
Gave him a joint. Right. Also, we got a really good edible at the end of the night from Devil's Kids Collective.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have to throw her a shout out because we got home that night and we cut that thing and we should have
It was
took
a
two.
truffle.
We should have took two.
Yeah.
We should have took two. And when she said, "Oh, you guys want one or two?" I didn't
We're
want
like,
to be
no,
greedy.
we'll share. We'll just have one.
Oh, big mistake.
It was a truffle, and it was infused.
It was
Didn't
delicious.
taste a bit of infused. The inside,
Creamy and
the
delicious.
ganache was just like creamy, like silk, but rich.
Devil's
oh my God, the
Kids
flavor.
Collective.
It was very
so
good.
if you ever see her in an event and she's selling her edibles, buy one
Yeah.
or two or three.
It was really good.
They were 15 milligram. It was perfect. We split it.
Yep.
Probably could eat the whole edible, but it was perfect for us to split. But I made a mistake by not getting two. So thank you, Devil's Kids Collective, for sharing. I appreciate a good edible. And I know Mrs. Weedman does too. What else? Oh, so Igneous came to the table. And the first time he rolled the Gary Poppins, we smoked the first joint.
We met him the first time
Oh.
at the Urban Legends Cup at the
Yes.
same event space.
Yes.
So at Blue Island Beer Company. Back in the spring
Yep.
was the Urban Legends Cup, and he came over by the table, and then I sent him out to the tent to see Mr. Weedman, and he hung out with you for
Yeah,
quite
we
a bit.
rolled joints together the whole time. It was great. We
so-
talked weed.
He came and found us at Saturday's event
Mm-hmm.
at the Smoke Sesh, and he brought all sorts of
Oh
goodies.
my God, he had so
Yeah,
many different
so many
strains,
goodies.
so many good smells, so many jars of just beautiful look. He had that one, and I didn't ask for a nug, and I should have. And I don't remember what the strain. Oh, it was ecstasy. I think it was XTC. Remember, I said you have to come and.
Yeah.
Woo!
Was that one real cheesy?
No,
gassy?
it was fruity and gassy and purpley.
I
And
remember a
there were
fruity one.
so many trichomes and crystals on this fucking bud. I was like, "Whoa, dude, you grew something very." I forgot how he grows. We talked about it the first time, but I totally forgot. I'm sorry, Igneous, but it was that what you showed me in that jar was special, and so. But then he came back a little bit later and he pulled out, he goes, "It's party time." And he pulled out the fattest of fattest doinks.
It was like a
It was-
6-inch long joint.
It was 5 grams
Yeah,
of
and
flour.
it was probably about a dime wide at the far end.
No, I
I would say, you think a nickel,
it was probably a
A nickel?
nickel. And at the end,
and then at the bottom it was like the size of a cigarette.
yeah,
It was huge,
it was very big.
It was huge.
Yes.
and that thing got passed around. Everybody was
Everybody
puffing
came
on
by.
that
It was,
thing. It was like a cigar.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was
It was fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I think he put Gary Poppins in that too.
Wow.
So that was a very good joint. I will tell you this: the Gary Poppins is very wet, very sticky. Also, the GG4, you could put that on a fucking car window out on the outside of it and drive 90 miles per hour, and it probably won't fall off.
It's quite a visual.
That's how sticky the fucking GG4 is. And I'm letting it cure in one of the 8 Decades jars. So give that about another week, and we'll bust out a nug just to try it before we roll a super duper ooby dooby newbie joint with that. And so I want to thank Igneous. I love when folks come up to our booth and share stories and share weed with us. It's amazing. And then you give me some for the show. What's the rule of the show? You give me a nug, I give you a shout out. So Igneous, thank you, brother. Thank you for getting us high on the Weedman 420 Chronicles. We appreciate it. So what do we got going on this Sunday?
This Sunday, we will be vendors at a kind of a similarly spirited. Most of the events kind of have this similar format. There's going to be retail vendors. There's going to be food vendors. There's usually going to be snacks and musicians, maybe some art and weed consumption. And so this one is going to be Little Beans Farmers Market. So they do their parties out in Carroll Stream, Illinois.
Yep.
And so that'll be Sunday from 2 to 8.
Yes.
And I believe you can get tickets at the door. If you check the 8 Decades story today, there's a link to tickets. So come on out.
Yeah,
it's going to be another fun one.
It will be good. If it was anything like the last one we went, we vendored in with that DJs. Another banging event.
Co-Freshie.
Yes. And he was drum and bass in it while he was DJing at the same time. Remember, he was playing the drums? And he was just boom, 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 boom. He was going off. We were banging that one too.
It was fun.
It was good. Mr. Weedman likes to dance, so I might not be a very good dancer, but I do enjoy dancing. I do enjoy vibing to the beat of my own drum because I don't follow any beat at all, but to the beat that I hear.
You have some beat. There's a beat.
It's my own beat though, and that's what I tell people all the time.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what song he's dancing
to, but it's
to
my own drum. That's the one thing I've always said. People are like, man, you have no rhythm. I'm like, no, I don't have rhythm I don't understand the tempo of music.
You do. You are following a beat.
I am.
It's just not like the
it's
primary
the beat.
Like the beat. You find some other
Yes.
beat
Remember what I've
within the
always
song.
said? I've always said that when I listen to music, I don't listen to the words for a while.
Yeah.
I listen to like sounds that make me tap or so I can understand. I don't understand music at all. So I always tell people I might not hear the correct. I don't dance to that. I dance to what I hear. It's weird.
You dance
to the beat of my own drum.
Right.
That's what I keep on saying.
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
It's just the way you do
I
it.
have rhythm. I can move.
Yeah.
I know how to dance.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'll go in a mosh pit tomorrow. Oh, not anymore.
Well, that's not really dancing.
Not the way these kids mosh anymore, though. Man, they just go to hurt people. They don't dance anymore. I watched some videos, some people post. I'm like, man, just people just going up and just punching people in the mosh pits, man.
Like they don't run around in circles a few times
They do,
first.
but then they look for like people to like hit.
They look for like weak people and they just bop them.
Just got people just stand in the circle. And I've watched these pits and I've watched people just sucker punch people. I'm like, man, if
that's
someone
not what it's about. You gotta get in there and you get like
you dance. It's about dancing,
like
getting your aggression out.
And you get
but you're not
and you
punching,
grunty and you're
not
pushing and you're
dead
shoving.
cold cocking somebody and knocking them
like,
out.
You're like pressuring people, like ugh.
It's aggressive dancing. It's aggressive dancing.
Yes,
that's what it is.
It's a little scary. I mean, if you're on the outskirts of it, you remember we were at Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, yes.
And by the time Rage was 2 or 3 songs in, that place was out of fucking control.
Yeah, but whose seats it didn't touch?
We were an island. We were an oasis within the mosh pit.
4 seats.
Mr. Weedman decided we were not going to give up our seats. And we had my nephew with us.
And my brother.
Your brother. And it was just like we were just elbow to elbow locked up with our 4 chairs. Yep. And around us was a mosh pit. And it was crazy. And chairs were like being passed over our heads to the stage, to security.
And
like,
people would look at me and my brother
And be like, fine, you could just stay there.
They didn't come near us.
Because they look crazy.
Oh, we were cuckoo crazy. We were high and we were cuckoo crazy. You come near our chairs, especially touching my wife and my 12-year-old nephew's chair, you're going to get socked. And remember there was a guy that came up to us and he stood behind the chairs the whole
He's
time.
Like, can I hang here? Like, can I stay here?
And then
he
came back with like,
no.
He came back with like 6 bottles of water and be like, hey, I got this for you. Can I? We're like, all right, cool.
All right. You can stay.
You can stay. But that was crazy. Yeah. That was a good Wu-Tang Forever, Wu-Tang for Life, and Rage Against the Machine. Amazing. That was 1996, August 8th, my birthday, 1996.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a crazy show.
Oh, so back to mosh pits.
Yes.
That was a pretty feisty, aggressive
that was
mosh
very
pit.
aggressive.
I mean, we weren't in it, so if you get hit with an elbow from somebody within a pit, that would have been...
No. But that's always done by accident. No one's coming up. I mean, I've seen people get elbowed a lot. That's why you got to keep your hands in front of your face.
Yeah, there's some fist punching.
But also like going to EDM shows and dance clubs.
Yeah, there's always someone in those crowds too.
I love dancing.
Oh, yeah.
My rhythm is not like, I have rhythm, but I don't have rhythm to the beat that's playing. I have rhythm to the beat that I'm hearing.
It's okay. You're unique.
Sure. So back to Little Bean Farm. Farmers Market on Sunday. Come check us out. Yeah. Come find us. Come hang. I'll roll you a joint. I know some of the people very enjoyed it because people would come up a couple times. Some of the people from Profess Sesh. And every time, Maddie would come up with her little one.
Yeah, she likes to smoke her little
one. And every time she came right up to me and she would blow out her one, and I'd be like, she probably had 8 different strains for me because every time she came to me, I had a different strain. Like, I'm giving you a different strain. Oh yeah, she had total fruit salad. It was amazing. So I was laughing. I'm like, every time you come in, you get a different strain. She goes, seriously? I'm like, I haven't given you same strain twice.
Right.
She's like, and she goes, you don't even grow the same. You've never grown the same strain twice. I'm like, no, I have not. Not yet.
Right.
There's no need to. Variety is the key. Spice of life. So come check us out. We'll roll you a joint. Igneous, thanks for getting us stoned. I'm pretty baked.
I'm freaking baked.
It said don't hit it more. Don't hit it a bunch in the beginning. I saw.
Tasted good. And we're smoking in a Spliff Society.
Oh, of course.
It's just my favorite.
Yes, it is to me, my favorite wrap cone stuffing mechanism. It is just makes everything taste really good.
But it just burns nice. It's not hot. It tastes good.
Yep.
Yeah. It's good.
It when you come to the 8 Decades booth and we have a tray out that you can try the tray smoke set out, and we put weed on there for you to use, and we make sure you see the Spliff Society cones to stuff with because you have to try those cones. Yeah. I can give you any other cone in the market, but there's nothing in the market that tastes and burns like that.
They're good.
Yeah. So it was pretty nice. Yeah. So. You ready to get the show started?
I think it's time.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
What do you get when you smoke weed?
High.
What else do you get when you smoke weed?
Munchies.
Yes.
Like right now, I'm like, ooh, what can I eat?
You did bring a couple of...
I brought some Tic Tacs.
Some Tic Tacs down.
I'll eat one.
So, do you ever wind out, like, think about why you get the munchies?
Yeah, sometimes I think if is it a placebo effect? You just correlate, like, I'm high, so I should have a snack. Well, and it's not even that you're really looking for one. Or is it truly because of the strain? I think any strain I smoke makes me want to eat.
See, I'm the opposite. But also, I kind of like did a little study on myself, too, because I was a smoker for a very long time. And then I went to vaping for a long time to quit smoking. But that became a habit. That became an addiction, too.
Right.
And because I enjoyed it a little too much. And what I realized is that kept me from wanting to eat also.
Well, that's nicotine. Why a lot of people smoke.
Yeah, nicotine.
Why they don't want to quit.
Nicotine always. So now that I haven't been vaping or smoking cigs, probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. Because I stopped, started again, stopped for 6 months, started again, stopped for like almost a year, and then started again, and then started for like 4 months, and then just stopped again.
I don't ask.
I know, but it happens.
It's your own.
Right. It's my own personal thing I got to deal with. But I know now because I haven't smoked a vape in a hot minute, and I noticed that not every time I smoke, I notice that I sometimes want to eat. Like, I want to eat.
Since you're not smoking cigarettes?
Yes. Like,
because your taste buds come back, maybe.
No, my taste buds have not really come back as like I thought they would, because I think my tongue is burnt. No joke, it's burnt.
I don't think so.
I think it is. I think like half of it has no like ridges anymore. It's just straight tongue.
Straight tongue.
There's no ridge.
No ridge.
It's just tongue.
That's what smoking will do to you.
Yeah.
Quit smoking. You get a tongue
but
like
my
this.
smell has come back. But my smell has come back, like phenomenal. I showed you the other night how well my nose came back, but I noticed that I've been getting the munchies lately, but not specifically for like candy or chips. Like I can go eat a carrot and it would be good.
Who does that?
That's what I'm
Who
trying to
does
say.
that?
So maybe it's not really munchies.
mean, come on.
Maybe it's not munchies.
No, it's you like being a weirdo.
Or maybe like sometimes I'll go for a pickle, like pickles.
Well, okay, that's salty, tangy.
Yeah. A tangerine or a clementine I went for the other night
That's
because it was
sweet,
like
like candy.
But I'm not.
But I'm all for a carrot, but really?
I went for the pickled carrots. Remember?
Okay.
I went for those.
Okay.
I didn't just go for a straight. What's up, Doc? But I went.
Although the sound effects would probably be really fun.
Annoy the hell out of you, though.
They would be so loud. Could you imagine?
So, but I noticed that it's not for candy or chips all the time. Like the other night, I had a nut bowl.
A nut bowl. I think you should probably elaborate on.
I had a bowl of nuts. So I did. I had the munchies, and I made cashews, almonds, prunes, dried prunes.
Oh yeah.
Dried apricots and dried cherries. And I didn't put any like raisinets in there like I normally would do.
Are you an old man?
Huh?
Are you an old man?
Why
you
am I
have carrots and then you have a nut bowl with prunes and apricots. In the meantime, I got like a bag of Swedish fish.
Oh shit!
God.
So yeah, so you get your munchies, I get mine. Yeah. But scientists at a Washington State University, they think they figured out why for the notorious munchies among people who use cannabis. And their research on mice, those fucking mice,
can't get munchies.
That's what I'm saying. They used it to first investigate how cannabis impacts the real-time activity on brain regions that control appetite.
Like, wouldn't a mouse just eat nonstop if he could?
I don't know.
Feel like
I'm not
would.
a fucking mouse.
Well, they are smart though, right?
No, they're not. I don't think they're that smart because they fall for a trap every time.
Oh, dummies.
The findings support an abundance of anecdotes and rigorous studies on humans, which all strongly suggest smoking, vaping, or eating cannabis can trigger acute cravings and have you headed for the pantry or fridge in no time. Still, while recreational prescription cannabis is commonly used to address appetite issues, it's the first article I've ever read that said prescription cannabis. Always medical cannabis. Mm-hmm. Never prescription.
Is it from another country?
It's from a science. No, it's from here. But I thought that was kind of cool. To address appetite issues. I was prescribed to me, but I never say it that way. I say I'm a medical card holder. That's kind of cool. Like those that stem from eating disorders or chemotherapy, scientists how surprising little about the mechanisms behind this effect. In recent years, numerous studies have pointed to the hypothalamus as an area of interest. This part of the brain sits deep within the organ and functions as a sort of control coordinating center for the body, keeping hormones and the nervous system in balance. At the bottom of the hypothalamus, just before it connects to the pea-sized gland responsible for producing hormones, including those associated with hunger, sits a clump of neurons called the accurate nucleus, or the ARC. The part of the hypothalamus is thought to regulate feeding behavior and metabolism. Previously, at WSO, researchers used rodents to show that cannabis exposure impacts genetic expressions in the ARC. Now they have zoomed in further and watched the firing activity of the small group of neurons in the ARC that have cannabinoid receptors. Sure enough, when mice were exposed to vaporized cannabis, these neurons called AGRP neurons were disinhibited. You know those mice? I'm so jealous of them. They get to try really good things, and then they get to smoke, vape vaporized weed and then get fed all the good munchies as much as they want.
Yeah, but they're living in a little box.
Yeah, but for like
in a bright lab.
And but they get to have good.
It's not
good
great. Don't make it sound better than it is.
No, it's not. Because some of them, they like infect them with tumors. And
Yeah,
they walk around with big
terrible.
fucking tumors. And
terrible.
Poor mice. Those mice. There's something important happening in the hypothalamus after vapor cannabis. Specifically, Davis and his colleagues found that cannabis exposures activated the cannabinoid 1 receptor in the AGRP neurons. And these receptors stop the neurons from receiving stop messages from other neurons. Constantly in this go mode, the AGRP neurons were linked to increased feeding among lab mice. When scientists inhibited the group of neurons, however, cannabis exposure no longer stimulated animal hunger. It is important to note here, the authors write that cannabis-induced feeding was not entirely after AGRP inhibition. Thus, our studies do not rule out the contribution of separate CNS regions or additional signaling mechanism as important regulators of cannabis-induced feeding behavior.
Cannabis-induced feeding. I have that problem.
CIFB.
I should get diagnosed.
CIFB.
That is a problem in of itself.
What is the CIFB?
I have a cannabis-induced feeding problem. Can you help me?
I'm gonna get you signed. You're gonna walk around going CIFB.
CIF.
CIFB. What does that stand for? I got issues.
Cannabis-induced
feeding behavior.
Feeding disorder.
It says behavior though. It's not a disorder. It's not. It's a fucking behavior.
Is a study.
They're telling you it's a behavior, not a disorder.
But if it becomes,
for you,
for me,
you want
it
it to be a disorder. Previous study, for instance, have found that other neurons associated with appetite in the hypothalamus called POMC neurons are also impacted by the cannabis and may play a role in the effect of munchies too. The study on the AGRP neurons go a step further and witnesses these changes in real time using calcium imaging techniques. In addition, and link those changes to acute appetite promotion in living animals models. The findings strongly suggest that the subset of neurons in the hypothalamus plays an important role in the munchies, knowledge that can inform future research in the treatment of anorexia and weight loss. This was published by Scientific Reports, and the research was done by the Washington State University. WSU.
Cool.
The last episode, we talked about alcohol on the downslope, edibles on the rise.
Yep.
Now let's talk a little about is one worse for your health than the other?
Yeah. And we're also focusing on these alcohol edible articles too, because it's dry January and a lot of people are replacing the alcohol use with edibles in this month.
And we're not against alcohol at all.
No.
I have a beer, a couple, 2 tree every once in a while. I like Mrs Weedman likes her bourbon every once in a while. This is not against a fight against alcohol. No. This is just information on,
Just for better understanding of how they both interact with each other and how they both are independent of each other. So, alcohol versus edibles. Is one worse for your health than the other? The answer is complicated. So we asked the experts. Getting buzzed is big business. According to a 2023 report sponsored by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, adults aged 35 to 50 are turning to alcohol and cannabis at record levels. And that's not just a nightly cocktail or joint. Recently, North American edible sales have soared, climbing to more than $3.5 billion in 2022, per the market research firm Global Market Insights. While there's no arguing both substances are popular and both can come with some risks, it's less clear whether alcohol or edible consumption is worse for your health. Here's what the experts have to say. Nobody has to tell you that alcohol goes straight to your head. Once it gets there, it messes with your brain's communication system, affecting your judgment, mood, and coordination. According to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. On the mild end of the spectrum, that can make you feel pleasantly tipsy. However, a few too many can have devastating consequences, such as falls, accidents, and impaired judgment, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. In the long term, heavy drinking is responsible for more than 140,000 deaths annually, according to the CDC. But even light to moderate drinking can have hazards, like an increased risk for cancer. Alcohol is a carcinogen, contributing to 5.6% of cancers and 4% of cancer deaths nationwide, according to the National Cancer Institute, which also points out that as little as 1 drink a day can increase your cancer odds. Excessive alcohol can also flood the body with toxins that may harm your heart, liver, pancreas, gut, lungs, kidneys, and immune system.
That's a lot.
Says, the NIAAA. But we all say, go drink, right? Edibles or cannabis-infused foods like gummies, brownies, and muffins get their buzz-promoting properties from a substance in the cannabis plant called tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC, explains the National Institute on Drug Abuse. What happens to your body when you eat them? Well, depending on the dose, edibles may produce a feeling of relaxation, giddiness, or euphoria, says Janice Newell Bissix, a holistic cannabis practitioner at Cannabis Wellness and program director of cannabinoid medical sciences at John Patrick University, School of Integrative and Functional Medicine.
Cannabis, that's so catchy.
It is, right? But if overconsumed, edibles may cause anxiety, panic, paranoia, dizziness, rapid heart rate, and altered perception, she says. Like alcohol, cannabis can also impair your ability to drive, doubling the risk of having a car accident, according to the UCLA Center for Cannabis and Cannabinoids. There are few long-term effects of edibles for most people, says Peter Grinspoon, a primary care physician and cannabis specialist at Massachusetts General Hospital, and author of Seeing Through the Smoke, a cannabis specialist untangles the truth about marijuana. But of course, there are exceptions, he explains, namely, people who are pregnant, breastfeeding, or have a family history of psychosis. Because of concerns about brain development, any kind of cannabis product is also a no-go for teenagers, he adds. While there's probably little concern if you have an occasional gummy, heavy cannabis use can lead to addiction, known as cannabis use disorder, which affects 30% of users per the CDC. Depending on whether you've eaten recently or not, alcohol's effects usually hit somewhere between 15 and 45 minutes after consumption. Edibles are far less predictable, kicking in anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours later, says Newell Bissix. People run into problems when they consume an edible and they don't feel much after 30 to 60 minutes and then decide to take another, he goes on to say. By the time it takes to take effect, they've overconsumed to the point of being stoned and uncomfortable. That's because edibles hang out in your body for a long time. While alcohol is usually fully metabolized within 4 to 8 hours, edibles don't even start to peak until about 4 hours after you eat them, and effects can last as long as 12 hours, says Bissix. Comparing the long-term health effects of alcohol and edibles is a bit like comparing apples and oranges. Sure, we have decades of research on alcohol. By contrast, commercially produced edible cannabis products haven't been available in the U.S. for very long, so we haven't had much chance to study them, says Ellicott Mathey, an assistant professor in the Department of Population Health at New York University Grossman School of Medicine. The combination of these products being relatively new, plus the regulatory barriers to conducting cannabis research, means that we know far less than we would like to know about their short and long-term effects on behavior and health, Mathey says. Still, experts do have some thoughts on the matter, especially when addiction is concerned. I would say that alcohol is more addictive, and that the addiction is far more life-destroying than cannabis use disorder, says Grinspoon. That said, people can become addicted to cannabis, and they need to be treated with skill, empathy, and compassion. On the flip side, cannabis may have some genuine health benefits. Alcohol, not so much. Although alcohol was once believed to protect against heart disease, the latest research in JAMA Network Open reveals that alcohol may not be so great for your heart after all and has lots of other downsides. Cannabis, however, may provide relief for people living with chronic pain, multiple sclerosis-related spasticity, or nausea and vomiting from chemotherapy. according to emerging evidence from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. The CDC recommends limiting alcohol to 1 drink a day for women and 2 for men. Since edibles aren't federally regulated, they're more like the Wild West, Newell Bissix says. I start my clients with 2.5 milligrams of THC, but bear in mind that some dispensaries sell edibles with 10 to 25 milligrams per serving, which for a new user would likely cause unwanted side effects. To prevent dependence, she recommends that long-term users take tolerance breaks for a day or 2 each week, or a week off every month or so. Cannabis and alcohol have very different effects on the brain, and there will be social implications, says Grinspoon. For example, cannabis can make you peaceful, increase your connection with other people, and give you personal insights, while alcohol can make you loud and less in control, he says. There is one caveat, and that's if a person uses both alcohol and edibles together, which is the least healthy option. Mathey also has concerns about consuming alcohol and cannabis together. Proponents of cannabis legalization emphasize that greater access to legal cannabis products could lead to substitution of alcohol for cannabis, and thus reductions in alcohol use and alcohol-related harms, she explains. However, emerging evidence seems to suggest that instead of substitution, people seem to use both alcohol and cannabis more often, both in sequence and at the same time, which appears to confer extra risks. Are edibles bad for your liver as bad for your liver as alcohol? And what about your kidneys? No, edibles are not hard on the kidneys, says Grinspoon. In fact, he says, using cannabis for pain in lieu of NSAIDs, such as ibuprofen, is better for your kidneys. Since cannabis doesn't cause cirrhosis or liver failure, edibles are much safer for the liver, he adds. Are edibles...
one for cannabis.
Yeah, right. Are edibles actually good for sleep? Maybe. Alcohol can be a significant sleep disruptor, while low-dose edibles tend to calm the body to promote a restful night's sleep without unpleasant side effects or next-day grogginess, says Bissix. Still, it's important not to rely too much on edibles for sleep. Are edibles better for your body than alcohol? The answer appears to be yes. Generally, cannabis is safer than alcohol, especially if used responsibly, says Grinspoon. And, unlike with alcohol, fatal overdoses of cannabis are very uncommon, if not impossible. That said, it's crucial to keep cannabis products out of the reach of children and for adults to partake mindfully and be aware of the risk of developing a cannabis use disorder. Whether you consume alcohol or edibles, the choice is up to you. There are so many reasons why someone may choose to use either or both, and the options aren't without risk. If you're looking to make an informed choice between one or the other, Bissix says that edibles are a safer option. I would not have believed this for the vast majority of my life, but research shows that the detrimental effects of alcohol, physical, mental, and societal, are far worse than with cannabis consumption, she says. If you use either cannabis or alcohol and feel like you may be developing a substance use disorder, reach out to your primary medical provider or other trusted source for support.
That was a good article.
Yeah.
No one's died from using weed.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's so much bad weed in the market? In legal cannabis?
Because they're overproducing it.
That's a
and then the cost is prohibitive.
That's a pretty good reason.
Locations of dispensaries are prohibitive to people who don't have transportation. Overproduction.
Yeah. So in Canada, we talked about how much production they did and how much they wasted, 3.5 million pounds. There's a conundrum in Canada, but also a conundrum in the United States. And it hasn't really hit the United States so much. Maybe the West Coast it has, because it's been legal there for a long time. I would say certain states in the Midwest it has. And I say maybe 1 or 2 states on the East Coast it might have happened to. I'm talking about legal market now.
Right.
Why there's so much bad weed. But I think there's still a lot of consumers that don't know what bad weed is.
Yeah, so they're producing poor quality weed, number one.
Fast quality. I don't want to
Right.
call it poor quality
Yeah,
in
I
so
guess
much.
that would be rushing the
So
process.
there might be some of it that's poor quality, 100%, just shit work. People just don't know what they're doing, and there's shit weed out there, 100%. But I would also call it fast production. They're doing it so fast because they're trying to get it to market. So they kind of like skip a step or two, or maybe fast production too, like fast, like you said, production issues. Maybe they got to a certain point in the production, and it's clearly they need to get it out in market to make money. So they rush the process of curing. They rush the process instead of hand trimming and making the buds look really pretty by hand, because it does look nice. They use machine trimmers, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure that's more like economically. I mean,
so
the amount
fast,
of time
but
that
you
it would
lose
take.
so much and makes
Right.
the buds look like dookie. Over drying or buds sitting in your
In bags, in storage.
for months upon months until it gets tested properly, and then the state has to approve it. Could be other reason why we get such bad weed. States' laws and what they have to do to get it produced. Maybe that weed was really fire, because I've seen a
Right.
lot of cultivation posting pictures of their weed, and it looks
looks
absolutely
beautiful.
beautiful. But then by the time you get it, it is just absolutely dust. When you
That could be a big part of the problem is just the process of inspecting it and
Right.
testing it.
Yeah. Plus, also, there's people out there that know really good weed, and I think a lot of people are tired of over cured, over dried, over nutrients, pumping it with nutrients to get buds. Like it's like pumping it with what chickens look like. Look at a real chicken and look at a chicken in a chicken farm. Two fucking opposite fucking angles and spectrums, you know.
They can call it free range if the animal can step outside of its cage and walk in like a 1 by 1 foot area.
Yeah, you told me that. I remember that. It was crazy. So it's just like there's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of bad weed. But there's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of good weed. Like we just smoked. Caregiver programs, home grows, traditional market grows. I mean, we smoked some fire traditional market stuff on Saturday. Hooray for the traditional market. It'll live on forever. But there's a lot of reasons. And like I said earlier, 2 minutes ago, not knowing what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
Period. There's not truly a lot of experienced gardeners out there for cannabis in the United States, and probably the world.
Not at like commercial scale.
That's what I'm
right?
saying. So you have to hire outside cannabis growers to hire commercial farming people
Right.
that have to learn as they go too.
So then you bring in like a cannabis specialist, someone who has been a traditional grower for a long time to
probably,
consult
but can
with
they,
the farmer who
but
knows.
can they produce
process.
1,000 plant,
Right.
5,000 plant rooms, 10,000 plant fucking greenhouses, 50,000 plant greenhouses? There's been some really good stuff, and there's been some really shit stuff. So you have to understand that there's a lot of reasons why there's bad weed out there, and there's a lot of reasons why there's fucking really good weed out there. I smoke fucking great weed. So yes, I'm not a snob at all. I'll try anybody's weed once. You know that, right? Well, yeah, it's true. I'll try let's put it this way. I'll try any strain once. And if I don't like that person's grow, well, let me try something else that you grow. Maybe it was just that strain. I don't know. Maybe it was fucking overcured. You fucked it. Who cares? It happened. But I don't know if I will ever smoke that same strain from that grower again. I don't know. I'm not a snob at all. I'm not good enough at defining like beer. I was never a beer snob. I was for one company for a minute, though. I will admit that, but that's because I had loyalty to that beer company. That's
different than being a beer snob.
Yes, I was never a beer snob. I could show you all the beer I have in my fucking crawl
You were
space.
just partial to one brand,
Of course, I have my heart to that one brand. You
and
know,
everybody needed to know that.
everybody needed to know it. For fucking 8 years, I never wore nothing but the shirt from that brewery. Even at family parties, I wore collared shirts with the logo on it.
Yeah, you did.
Now I wear 8 decades
Everywhere.
and Weedman 420 logos
Yes.
everywhere I go. So, but yes, so I understand the reasonings behind. There could be a lot of bad weed out there. So let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Sex and weed again, and
Yeah.
I never talk about the sex part of it. These articles, I always give them to Mrs.
I know.
Weedman
Thanks.
because I think it's better coming from you than coming from me,
Fair enough.
right?
Yeah. Hopefully my throat
So
isn't too scratchy.
what are the 5 questions about weed and sex that you were kind of embarrassed to ask a professional sexologist? So we found an article that will tell you.
I don't even know who a sexologist is, but I guess they're out there. Is that really the formal name of a sexologist?
You know why I know there is? Because back when I was younger, like probably still living at my parents when I was young, not even like,
They looked one up for you?
no,
Where?
possibly. HBO
Uh-huh.
always had the sex talks on fucking HBO. And my parents were always out on a Friday, and it was always on a Friday night at 10 o'clock. My brother would be asleep, and I would watch all the sex stuff. And I learned about sex, not from my parents, not from school, from HBO. From cable TV, HBO, the sex talks, and remember the cab talks too?
God, yes.
Oh my God, those were the best. So, but yeah, that's how I learned what a sexologist was.
All
And
right.
probably like 1984.
All right, so we've got the 5 questions about weed and sex that you may have wanted to ask a professional sexologist. Scientific findings suggest cannabis benefits sexual encounters, yet experiences also suggest using caution. When used in moderation, cannabis in sexual relations can offer benefits. However, in excess, it can lead to problems. To unravel some mysteries on this topic, we have Francesca Nietzsche, a journalist with a diploma in human sexuality from the Center for Sexuality Studies in Chile, a diploma in gender and feminist movements from the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters at the University of Buenos Aires. She's author of the book The Path of Sex and director of Erotic Pink, a gender perspective erotic boutique. She stands as the voice of experience, and she says, all drugs have risks and potential side effects. Cannabis is no exception. The narrative of sex and drugs writes itself on the edges of society. Sometimes allies, sometimes adversaries, drugs and sex are part of the grand themes of humanity. And in recent years, more than ever, cannabis has slipped into conversations, wild parties, and skin-on-skin experiences. So, without further ado, here they are, the 5 questions about weed and sex that you've always wanted to ask a professional sexologist. 1. Are there cannabis-based products recommended for sex? There are cannabis-based lubricants that cause relaxation. They are used on the vulva or vagina. They generate warmth and, depending on the person, also help in stimulating an orgasm, making it stronger. 2. Can weed alter our consent? This is an important one. Keep in mind that in any sexual relationship, consent is an issue. Before and during, issues of sexually transmitted disease prevention and unwanted pregnancies are present. Sometimes one can have altered senses. That's why it's important to know who you're going to be with and the effect cannabis has on that person. The issue of consent is very important because if we're under the effect of any drug that prevents us from giving explicit consent, or we're with someone who has consumed, whether we can't give consent or the other person isn't in their right mind, it's better not to have relations. It's one thing to do it with a low dose as a sexual exploration, and another when we can't consent. 3. What are the benefits of weed when it comes to sex? The researchers, and there's research and surveys, people who have tried it say it improves the quality and quantity of sexual relations. It also impacts satisfaction during arousal and orgasm. This is because there's an area of the brain involved in the arousal and orgasm process that when one consumes cannabis is also stimulated. It's directly related. Plus, THC and CBD are vasodilators. So,
did they just say velociraptors?
Yes. So they are important for that reason too. I say, in this case, Experimentation is your best route to discovery.
Good one. New York officials.
Wait a minute, but weren't there supposed to be 5 questions?
Yeah.
The article only gave me 3. Oh well, we'll put the link to this article.
Does weed improve or worsen sexual experience? It's all about the amount, the dose. A low dose can be helpful, but a high dose often may not be effective, right?
Right.
A low dose is like consuming alcohol. A low dose of alcohol can make you less stressed, less anxious, more relaxed. And that can help, but not with a high dose. It's the same with cannabis. A high dose can be counterproductive. The amount varies from person to person. What are important considerations when mixing marijuana and sex? Mrs. Weedman missed
Look at
those two.
I put you on the spot.
You
This
did.
was a trick. I tricked you into having to fill
see
in.
if on video for the first time I've actually paid attention.
Yep.
What are important considerations when mixing marijuana and sex? It's important that when we turn to these types of things, we do so in low doses or even when trying them alone. In a masturbation sex setting, also check those amounts. There we can masturbate and see the effect. And if we're going to be with someone, know the effect cannabis has on that person. And of course, one shouldn't change the dose that usually works well for a person in a sexual encounter. Did you test me?
No, but you know what? I know what happened now. When I was creating my file for the show, I duplicated something I had already copied and pasted. And so I'm like, this article is really redundant. And I just deleted a bunch. And so.
Were you stoned when you were working on it?
I was not.
Oh,
no.
Maybe you should have been.
I was a little pressed for time. So thanks for taking over.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to see how you could pull through on that topic. Thanks, Mr. Weedman.
First time I talked about sex on the show.
Woo! Party.
New York officials will vote on marijuana home cultivation rules this week. Come on, New York. And also adults will be able to keep up to 5 pounds of marijuana that has been trimmed from legal plants they grow. 5 pounds. Let's go. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Marijuana buyers from Texas fuel Little Amsterdam in New Mexico. There's a little border town in Sunland Park, New Mexico, that is just packed dispensaries because of the Texas laws.
Town.
Yeah,
right.
It's a border town. They crush. Multiple bills aimed at legalizing cannabis in Indiana introduced. SB 99, look it up. SB 107, SB 126, SB 294, SB 1146, SB or HB 1282, HB 1146, sorry about that, HB 1349, HB 1350, and HB 1410. That's a lot. Check those laws out. Read them. I'm not going to read them all right now, but check them. And we'll post this article on the show notes, too, for you all. Struggling with oversaturation, Oregon's cannabis industry calls for new restrictions. Yes, there's a lot of weed being grown and a lot of weed that's not being sold. A lot of waste. Mm-hmm. Think about all the other resources you use for that waste. Canada knows 3.5 million pounds of waste. Wasteful weed.
That's a lot.
Yes. Marijuana legalization among top legislative priorities for Hawaii Senate majority. Good. Get it voted so I can go out there and smoke some weeds. Reschedule cannabis or abolish the DEA. I just say abolish all of them and give us back that $1 trillion that you owe us still. That 50-year-old agency needs to go, 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 go. Every agency needs to go. Psh, you all suck and just a waste of money. New 2024 California labor laws and weed. How do they help protect workers? Can't fire somebody for weed. Go California. Should be like that through the whole country. Michigan marijuana sales surpassed $3 billion in 2023 as retailers smash monthly December record. Good. $3 billion. Big time. South Dakota House passes bill to find medical marijuana dispensaries that don't warn patients about federal gun ban. South Dakota. Will legal marijuana make Ohio colleges grow? From this article that I read, it said it has been growing since medical, and it's going to grow. All those colleges are going to grow more because what do college kids like to do? They
Smoke weed.
They like to smoke weed, so they're going to go to a legal state that they can't get in trouble. So all you states that don't have legal cannabis and college kids can go to jail and get fined and their parents are going to get pissed and not pay their rent because they just got fined a couple grand, you're going to start losing your money. Your monies. So start getting with the program. Legalize cannabis. Marijuana advocates plan largest bipartisan push for federal reform at pre-420 event in D.C. as rescheduling decisions looms. Yes, the Last Prisoner Project. They're going to be going to D.C. for a 420 event to make sure it gets forget about rescheduling. And Miss Weedman's going to talk about that in a second. So, New York governor proposes eliminating marijuana product potency tax. It shouldn't be a tax at all. What do you think? This is the tea? What do you think? Is this? We're in Britain right now. You're taxing on tea. So it doesn't smell right. It smells like a suppository going up someone's ass in Alabama. Medical marijuana debacle continues.
Is that still the only way you can consume
You
that?
can't get any of it right now. It's still not.
So they don't even have the suppositories?
No, they have nothing
Jeez
right
Louise.
now. And you can only buy peach gummies, peach ring gummies. That's all you're gonna be able to buy there. And
Someone will
suppositories.
get smart and like create a loophole on that and like make everything in the shape of a suppository and say that you should put this in your butt, but you could put it in your mouth.
My poor Alabama friends down there. Oh my goodness, man. Oregon GOP lawmakers want to place misdemeanor penalties for drug possession. They're going backwards. The New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission approved 70 adult use licenses. Consumption lounge rules are coming up. Vermont House of Representatives voted in favor of legislation to establish the fund to overdose prevention centers in the state. That's pretty cool. Iowa lawmakers consider including flower to medical marijuana program. They have a very small medical marijuana program. It's terrible, but now they're going to finally add flower. Minnesota's rollout faces delay around leadership expungement process. Ron DeSantis believes gun owners should be able to use medical marijuana. He's out too. He left.
He bowed out.
Yeah, he bowed out. Bowed out. So, and he better make sure he's for cannabis in Florida because 75% of people are for it. And he's saying now that it's probably going to make it on the ballot. Yeah, now he's talking sense because he knows he's going to have to run for governor because his presidential campaign didn't make it. So he's now going to play in favor of cannabis. Watch.
Interesting.
Before he was like, you should be arrested for cannabis. So
Miss Yuki has entered the building.
she has. New Hampshire GOP governor defends state-run marijuana legalization plan as lawmakers consider 2024 reform bills. Also, they're saying Joe Biden's poll numbers are up 11% because of this whole rescheduling thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So he might win the presidency because of using cannabis, putting it in his favor. It's just a tool, everybody, because he's a tool bag. He's using tools in his tool bag, if you get what I'm saying, to be able to win your vote over. Historic DA rescheduling in next U.S. states to legalize Mrs. Weedman.
Yes. So this is another article on the DEA rescheduling cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance. There is a lot of controversy about this topic. It's not as simple as they just do this rescheduling because the rescheduling still is calling it a drug that needs to be, governed by every party that's at play with their hand out, right? And if it was just not scheduled at all is the ideal. No federal legalization and no schedule at all. And just let it be a plant, let it be an herb, just other herbs that you would buy at a health food store.
Just like cilantro.
Right.
Just like lavender. Right. Just like
So there's a
basil.
lot of controversy. You can argue both sides. Some people think you can't. So this is one perspective on the rescheduling and the next U.S. states to legalize. So the cannabis industry is on the brink of a historic shift as the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, gears up for a major policy change, potentially the largest in U.S. marijuana policy in 5 decades. The Biden administration initiated a process in October 2022 to potentially reschedule cannabis under the Controlled Substances Act, eyeing a move to Schedule 3 sometime in 2024. This move could revolutionize tax implications for the industry, as Section 280E of the Federal Tax Code, which currently restricts state legal marijuana retailers from deducting many typical business expenses, would no longer be applicable. This change is highly anticipated, especially considering the financial strain faced by these businesses due to various state-level challenges, including declining wholesale prices and competition with the illicit market. Such a development might also play a pivotal role in bolstering President Joe Biden's re-election campaign. However, the speed at which these tax benefits would materialize for struggling marijuana businesses remains a matter of debate. In the broader landscape, the journey toward legalization continues. The next state to legalize adult use marijuana is likely to face either legal challenges or political gridlocks. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the push for marijuana banking reform persists, potentially paving the way for cannabis stocks to enter the major exchanges and attract more investments, despite the current bear market conditions. Looking ahead to 2024, several predictions stand out for the cannabis industry. 1. The DEA's proposal to reschedule marijuana. Following the Department of Health and Human Services recommendation, it's anticipated that the DEA will propose moving marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This move, supported by data indicating the medical value of cannabis, would continue the rescheduling review initiated by the Biden administration. 2. Tax relief on the horizon. The anticipated rescheduling would relieve cannabis businesses from the burden of Section 280E. This could save the industry significant sums, as exemplified by the case of True Leaf Cannabis seeking a federal tax refund of $143 million.
Oh.
Dang. 3. Federal progress on marijuana reform. The push for banking reform legislation, such as the Safer Banking Act, faces challenges in Congress. With a political deadlock apparent, progress at the federal level may be limited to rescheduling in 2024. 4. Next states to legalize. Florida and Pennsylvania are emerging as key states in the legalization movement. In Florida, a True Leaf-backed measure may appear on the 2024 ballot pending a constitutional challenge. Pennsylvania, fresh from expanding its medical marijuana program, might also consider adult use legalization, though political deadlock remains an obstacle. 5. Presidential campaign and marijuana reform. Marijuana legalization could become a significant issue in the 2024 presidential campaign, potentially influencing voter turnout and campaign strategies. 6. That's pretty crazy. Combating the illicit market. States, especially New York, are taking steps to address the booming illicit marijuana market, with efforts to expand legal retail capacity and enforcement measures. And 7. Social equity in the industry. States are reassessing how to ensure fair participation in the legal marijuana industry, especially for groups impacted by the war on drugs. This includes finding legally sound ways to support disadvantaged entrepreneurs. As the cannabis industry navigates these challenges and changes, the landscape of marijuana policy and business in the United States continues to evolve dynamically.
We'll see.
Yeah.
International news. In Nepal, CM Paney bets for legalizing marijuana and domestic liquor for economic growth. Canadian cannabis sales plunged in November to 412 million. So that's not good. Medical marijuana improves chronic depression symptoms. New clinical study by German psychiatric hospital shows that 50.8% of patients reported long-term treatment responses and symptom reductions due to cannabis medication. Woohoo! Go Germany. Figuring it out. Thailand will attempt to put the genie back in the bottle. They're fucking it up. That new political party that's in power is about to yank. Gonna put the cork right back in. I told you, Thailand, what I've been saying. Not that you only have the capital as Bangkok. I've also been saying that don't fuck it up. Oh, it's brutal. I was so impressed. The first Asian company to legalize cannabis, one of the only 4 countries. I mean, come on now. Don't fuck it up, man. Just tell that government to shove it up their ass. You voted for it. You got it in. You're making money off of it like you should be. You're one of the tops in the world. Oh, my goodness. People are going there now because of tourism and also cannabis tourism. You're going to lose a lot of money. A lot of people are going to go out of business. So, Panama.
David Lee Roth.
You got it. We'll be talking about him in a minute. Awards licenses to 7 medical cannabis businesses. Ukraine medical marijuana bill is unblocked from advancing to president's desk after opponents' repeal attempts fail. Cannabis clubs are here to stay in Barcelona, Spain. It's the only way you get your weed. So, well, not the only way, but one of the ways. Bernardo Arevalo, Guatemala's new president. We must decriminalize marijuana. This is a smart guy. Decriminalize it and focus on combating hard drugs. Smart.
Pretty simple.
Significant shift in Guatemalan politics. He was born in Uruguay in 1958, so I don't know if he lived there during when cannabis went legal. The first country to legalize cannabis was Uruguay. I wonder if he was living there and saw how good it was for their country, you know? So I hope that he legalizes it in Guatemala. It's going to be great. Who has the coolest nails and the longest nails and the biggest nails you've ever seen?
Grandma.
Ma 420. Grandma Weed, Ma 420.
Yes. She's been. That's her statement.
Yes,
she's always been all about her nails, and they're long.
All like, 4 inches of them.
An inch off of the tip of her finger, maybe longer.
They're probably about 3 inches,
and they're usually
2 inches.
Perfectly groomed. Never a crack or a chip or a crooked. They're just perfect, and they're red as can be, or like deep pink.
What do they call that when someone has something that's distinctive? Like it's her
trademark.
Her trademark. Yes.
Right.
So what's the next big thing?
It's like her identity.
It is. Her nails are her identity. How are you talking about Mom 420?
There is now weed nail art, and it could have your next manicure up in smoke. How about that? Look at me with my naked nails. I couldn't even imagine wearing that. It would be so hard. Well, anyway, having a gorgeous custom nail set is bound to get you compliments. Plus, you can tap I do love the when you get fake nails. If the noise it makes, like with coin, I don't know, there's just something about it. So, you can get compliments, plus you can tap them on the counter and make a delightful sound. I agree. Nail accessories are also a wonderful way to show your interests, such as weed. Manicurists can highlight cannabis in a set of nails in many ways, with updated colors like green and purple or gems. Some technicians even use actual ground cannabis in their gel or artfully paint custom cartoons into their designs. You can go with classic or a twist. Most of us are familiar with a French manicure, but how about a twist toward weed? Classic French tips can be joined by zodiac accessories, cannabis leaf gems, and more. Seeing our favorite cartoons with a bong or red eyes is always a bit silly, and some nail technicians seem to think so too. You could ask that your nails feature SpongeBob, Mario and Luigi, Lizzie McGuire, or how about Snoop Dogg? It takes skill to paint a set, so seek a skilled tech if cartoon and graphic nails are on the docket. Color pop nails are an excellent way to add color to every day, and these nail sets do just that. Bright pinks, greens, even Rastafarian colorways don these designs, offering an excellent display of color and, most of all, fun. And how about nail art using actual weed? The final nail trend worth mentioning is incorporating actual ground weed into the gel. Each set includes actual plant material for a just out of the grinder look. It takes an artistic eye to pull off this look, making the nails look like they got, so that they don't look like they got stuck in fuzz. But when it's done right, they literally look out of this world. So go get a mani, make it an outfit, brighten up your day, and just have a new way of showing off that you're down with weed. No matter what your style is, there's a cannabis nail set out there to match it. So get creative.
There it is. There were some. I was looking at the pictures, and the
pictures are crazy.
Yeah, the ones with the when they put it in the grinder with the weed was pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. So, I'm a big fan of Van Halen. Yeah. I'm always running with the devil, But I don't know how much to believe on this. David Lee Roth says he spends almost $100,000 a year on weed. Is he giving it away?
Maybe he's growing it.
No. It says like over $90,000 is what he says. He said on his podcast that he spends on weed a year, or he spent more than $90,000 on marijuana.
Well, maybe he keeps a certain amount around and gives it out to people.
I guess. I mean, that's fine, but it
carries
just
around joints and passes
But see
them out.
why?
Right.
You spend that. You
There's no way a person could spend that much.
I mean, if you're giving it away to people and you're buying really high-end weed on top of high-end weed, I don't know what kind of weed you're buying. You're buying pounds of it.
I don't know.
For $5,000 a pound or $10,000 a pound, that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of weed to smoke. And you're giving someone like Mike Tyson said he spends like $4,500 or was it $45,000 a month on weed? I don't know how much you smoke. That's a lot.
That's all right.
Good for them if you could smoke that much. But I don't have that kind of money to spend $100,000 on weed.
Not many do.
Learn to grow it yourself, David Lee Roth. Miss Weedman.
Maybe that's why it's $100,000. Maybe he pays somebody to grow his weed.
Possibly. Oh, that's actually a good idea. Boom. I don't listen to his show, so I wouldn't know.
That could be it. And then he's paying someone a nice wage.
That's pretty good. Kind of like Snoop Dogg's joint roller, blunt roller, $150K a year.
Maybe that's what it's
all the weed you could smoke.
Yeah.
Not bad. Miss Weedman.
Yep.
That's the end of the show.
That went fast. I got a froggy voice.
So do I.
Right?
It just hopped in there.
Froggy.
Got anything else to say?
Everybody have a great week. Stay well. Get through this last stretch of most of our cold seasons, wherever you're living. It's probably your worst weather right now. So, happy last home stretch of January.
Let's get rid of it. And hopefully,
Moving on.
And hopefully February
brings us some warmer weather.
It doesn't have to be warm. I just want the sun out.
Yeah.
Like when it was minus 20, the sun was out though, and the sun was hot. So I don't mind that.
Hot?
The sun was hot when you didn't go outside. When you go outside and walk in that sun, you feel that sun on you. The sun is strong.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's hot outside. The sun is very strong and it feels warm on your body. And then when you're in your car and you're driving,
it gets warm.
You see the steam coming off your hood too from the sun. The sun is very strong in the wintertime. And I rather have that than have this fucking brutal 30 degrees and raining sleet and no sun. That's just depressing. So I'd rather be cold, ice cold and sunny any day. Bring me that D, that vitamin D. I can bundle up. But stay warm out there, everybody. Stay dry as best you can. Be safe. We love you. We appreciate you all around the world. Peace be with you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.